Choose you this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. This is Social Security Officer Joshua reporting. Lewis, the Lunatic Landlord versus Judge Joshua.
Hello, it's Social Security Officer Joshua reporting again. It's been a while, and you know, I finally got a battery in the mail. 2 of them actually now for my LG phone, so it's back up to a good camera, and it's up on the tripod where it's supposed to be. I went through all this trouble to get myself a lapel mic and a cordless setup, and even after playing around with the volume controls and everything, it still just sounds real harsh and junky. And maybe I'd try another microphone, or maybe some transmitters. I don't know. Could have been a waste of $10. What do you expect for $10? Well, a whole lot less than you did last year. So, I don't know if you've been keeping up with me. I had to relocate. My father sold the property we've been on for 25 years a few months ago. So I've been living over here in a new place, or a new property, another property new to me. And I'm renting out a spot for a set price that includes the utilities and access to a wash house, you know, with a couple of washers and dryers. That, you know, it's supposed that at least one set of them is going to be working as part of the agreement. Alright, and you hear me using the word agreement. Uh-oh, that means we're having rental problems, aren't we? Well, it's not the type of problems you think it is. A lot of people would say, you know, tenant's not paying his rent, you gotta evict him. It's the opposite. I want to pay my rent, and the landlord wants to get rid of me. Why? Why would a landlord want to get rid of a tenant who's willing to pay rent if he's not causing problems? And I'm not. I'm actually been a huge blessing. All the neighbors love me. None of them want to see me go. They're all on my side as I begin an investigation into a violation of Florida law, is what it boils down to. I went ahead and well, let's just put it in picture. Okay, first month, not a huge issue, but as I'm moving in, I noticed a few things about this landlord that's put some you know, mental health red flags, you know. And the first time was when my dad had pulled in and we were unloading some equipment or something, and I had a hard time getting into the fence. This landlord's a paranoid drug addict, and he likes to like fix up the fence, put cameras everywhere, and I didn't really understand that about him when my best friend had referenced me to him. Although, again, red flags. I'm willing to pay the price for it. But anyway, I had to shout, you know, hey, I can't get in the gate. My dad's here. I need to, you know, let him in. So, and he come around screaming and yell at me. The only reason why I was screaming at him wasn't because I was angry. I was just trying to get his attention, because I know I've knocked on his door before and he can't hear me, and then he gets mad at me. But yeah, this guy's crazy. Anyway. So, as I'm unloading my stuff, he comes up and I'm like, hey, guy, I just wanted to get in the gate, man. You're the one changing all this stuff around on me. You know what I'm saying? Changing rules and not telling me about it. He's like, well, something about you barking at that dog all the time. I'm like, you tell my dad that, and you didn't even tell me you had a problem with that. In fact, last time we talked about that, you said you actually could appreciate me getting that dog to stop barking and training. And now you tell my dad this stuff? You crazy. There's something really wrong with you. My dad was like, Josh, settle down, you know, blah, blah, blah. Because, again, I've noticed this guy, whenever he gets into these kind of things and he's wrong, he wants to fight. And I mean fight like, get over here, kick your ass and shit. And I'm like, no. I'm going the other way and locking myself in my front door, because now you doing this kind of stuff, I'm afraid of you. And it's true. Oh, so okay, that was the first month. A month went by, no big deals. I'm over here mowing the yard, doing the trash, you know, up to a point I let him use my lawnmower and trailer to get things done around here. You know, all was good. Well, started having some electrical problems. I solved some of them on my own. and some of them I couldn't because he had a lock on a box, you know, when he was like, yeah, you can take a look at it, something shorting out and, you know, frying, and that's why the power to the wash house is out. I went to go work on it, it's locked. By the time I went back to go ask him, hey, can I get the key? He's gone again. Remember when I was talking about that whole thing of knocking on his door and shouting? Where the fuck does he go? I guess he goes off to these other RVs he's got sitting out here that are all pieces of, you know, rotted out junk that he's trying to fix up to the rent, along with a double wide mobile home. I'm telling you, this is the third person I've met that's got access to property and power, but no ability to regulate and handle it whatsoever. They all seem to be drug addicts, and people like me who are good at this, taking care of property, managing, handling people, payments and everything. I can't get a piece of property for myself to take care of myself, so I don't have to deal with people like him. Well, okay, so that got fixed eventually. Well, just a few days ago, my neighbor was not him, not the landlord, but one of our. Okay, look. This, from what I understand, this fella's mother, who's, you know, only got a few years left to live, I guess, but for the last 3 years has owned this property. He's been basically renting it out, and she's paying the utilities, and she doesn't see a dime of it. Every time she asks him where's the money, he's gone. Well, it's her fault for letting me go on. However, now that I'm in the picture, things are gonna, it's not gonna work that way no more, because I told her that I would adopt her and, you know, look out for her. That's what I mean what I say. So, that's gonna, you'd say complicate things, but I say it actually makes it a little more heartfelt for me to want to stay. A motivation or whatever. Let's see. So, get back on track. Okay. A few days ago, and I don't know, maybe he's got some jealousy problems, which is very likely. He's definitely a drug addict at this point. I've been told by other people, and it makes sense with his mentality, that it's methamphetamines. And from what I understand, again, from my friend who introduced me to him, and even the other neighbors, he's up and down. He goes quirky for these little, and I'd say, you can't do that if you're going to be landlord. He's not qualified to be landlord if he can't do that. To further that, I bet he has no idea of all the laws of my rights that I have that he has been violating. Now let's go through them. Okay. A few nights ago, like I said, me and his mom becoming reasonable friends. You know, not like buddies, but reasonable friends. We like to hang out with each other a couple times a week for a few hours and listen to music, and, you know, I'll drink a few beers, and, you know, she'll smoke a little medical marijuana. No big deal. Maybe he's getting jealous. Maybe this has nothing to do with it. It probably doesn't, because I don't know. But anyway, I know he's got cameras all over the place and everything at this point. He's got a loudspeaker he gets onto it. Hey, what are you doing? And, you know, like I say, he's a paranoid drug addict. It's fucking crazy. Excuse my language. Anyway, just, I don't know, she's hanging out over here with me, and he knocks on my door, and it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, about 9 o'clock at night. Knocks on my door, you know, hey, I can't find my cigarettes, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, okay, well, Joshua, I'm gonna go, you know, help him figure this out. I think he's got his cigarettes, but, you know, he gets like this. And I'm like, that's messed up, you know. Well, how did that go? They left, and they disappeared. I had, gone back over there a little later to check on her, because she, you know, mentioned she can come back as soon as she finds the cigarettes or whatever, and it's been a while. I was like, did they find the cigarettes? No, they didn't find the cigarettes, and wow, what a catalyst for failure. As I'm going out there, I notice a couple of lights on the ground. Like I said, he's got this obsession with putting big bright lights everywhere and pointing them at everybody all the time. He is crazy. Now I keep saying that, but I didn't want to accept it when I first met him. Now I have no choice but to. Again, blows my mind how the third person now I've known as a drug addict, maybe even dealing drugs, got property and treats everybody like garbage. Here I am, a good neighbor, and I can't get property to save their life. So, and that's probably why, because they take advantage of people and they steal and they lie and they cheat their way into power and ownership. Because again, technically he doesn't even own the property, as far as I know. He's making a complete profit off his money. And just doing mess. Anyway, so I walk out there and I see another one of his crazy cord wiring. Like I said, the wash house shorts out every now and then. Because he's got just 10-2 wire running 240 volt appliances. And he's got non-barrel grade wire everywhere. You got just 10 junctions over here to make one line from here to the, just, okay, just, man. So I just, like I said, I went and ran my own line straight all the way from the distribution all the way up to here, totally separate from everybody else, out of pocket, because not having that frying shit happening up in my camper. I already had one e-bike charger fry because of the voltage problems. I was only reading like 99 volts at my outlet. Now I'm at like 122 to 124. So anyway, walking over there, I just happened to see some lights sitting on the ground, and I'm like, I will admit, I used it more of an excuse after the fact, but I'm thinking, did I trip over them, or are they set there intentionally, or what? Well, why don't I just pick them up and set them on, on a post and on a branch, so that, lighting up and down and making the whole place look better. I do that one, and I move the other light, and it flicks out, and I touch it. It's real hot at the base. I wiggle the cord around, as sparks on and off, but it won't stay on. And I look, and it's just, like I said, some kind of cord just taped into a socket, and just, I'm like, well, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'll do it, not a big deal. It's short now. We'll figure just, if it's even a big deal, no matter whatever. Well, was it over the speaker? Or no. I come back over to my place. Because we get in a yelling match in the yard. I'm like, dude, I don't even fucking smoke cigarettes, man. I'm just a tenant. I pay. I don't deserve this. Leave me out of this, guy. I walk up my place. About 10 minutes later, my power goes out. Gone. I look out the window. Power. Everybody else got power but me. So I get out. I'm walking down, the 250, 300 feet to the breaker box. Actually, no, it's closer to 350 feet to the breaker box. And as I'm walking out there, I hear on the loudspeaker, "You need to go talk to Joel." And I'm like, I just ignore it. I'm like, I ain't got time for this. I go, I look at the breaker box, and no breakers are off, but I look all the way over, and sure enough, there's my wire sitting there like that with no breaker, and it's gone. So as I'm walking back up, he comes out his door, and we get in a shouting match. And like I said, I'm like, look, you need to turn my power back on. He's like, not until you fix my light, you messed up. And I'm like, dude, it's shorting out, it's malfunctioning. It's not a big deal. Deal with it in the morning. I messed with my light. You not fucking mess with my light. You not fucking come over here. I'll kick your ass. Man, I'll kick your ass. Come over here so I kick your ass. I'm like, no, buddy, I'm going the other way. I'm going the other way. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to lock my door. You know what I'm saying? And figure out what to do next. And I did. I figured out. He stole my breaker. He technically went all to the power line that I own until I move off of here. Due to our agreement, I have every right to call the police and report that property theft and file charges on it. So as I'm walking back out there, I knock on his door. He doesn't answer. So I start screaming, "Hey, come out here and talk to me like an adult." He comes out, and I'm like, "Hey, look, you stole my breaker. You put it back, or I'm calling the police for stealing it." That's it. He starts screaming and yelling at me, and so I just scream right back at him. I don't have time for these games. You put my breaker back, I'm calling the police. That's it. Walk straight back to my place, lock the door, and I say, "You got 10 minutes or I'm calling the police." Sure enough, within 10 minutes, my power comes back on. Alright. Next morning, I go over to drop off the mailbox key that I had borrowed because I was waiting on eBay packages, and I said, here's the key back, got the packages, here's your mail. out of the box, whatever. And I, you know, and he says, well, you still gonna let me use the riding lawn? Or he didn't say still going to. He said, are you going to let me use the riding lawnmower this afternoon still, or something like that? You know, because he'd made plans the day ahead to use it to do some sandbags. And I just calmly, just like this, said, no. Turned around, started walking back. And I think he might have said something, I don't remember. But anyway, an hour or so later, out and about, just happened to see him out in the yard, and he comes over and says, your rent's paid up till the beginning of May, you got to get out of here. At the end of the beginning of May. I said, okay, as I went to think about it. Well, I found out he's not allowed to do that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he continued on. Yesterday, I was, alright, and, you know, again, I'm just giving you the major things he's done that I can recall right off the top of my head. You know, I'm sure there's been a whole bunch of little micro transgressions that I've ignored, don't care to notice, or have forgotten. But now I can't do anything but keep a strict record of everything he does from this point on, because this is getting into the legal arena. Now, what he did to me yesterday? Again, so far, he hasn't admitted a lick of guilt. If he would have apologized the next morning, I wouldn't have wouldn't have stopped letting me use my lawnmower. And the fact that he's kicking me off the property because I won't let him use my lawnmower, which was never part of an agreement, just to, you know, just toss that out there. You know what I'm saying? That's illegal. That's, what do they call it? A retaliatory eviction, which is illegal under Florida law. I got all the numbers and everything looked up. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what he did, let's see. So then, I've been basically just staying in my yard. Yeah, the day after, or yesterday, alright, wait. Here's another thing he did, which actually caused all of what happened yesterday, but it was going to happen eventually either way, I would think. I've been renting out garbage cans on me just to be awesome, because he just got a burn pile, and it really, you know, his mom hates the smell, and it bothers her old, you know, nasal, you know, respiratory system, and it's also just illegal and just nasty and horrible, because, you know, they don't separate anything. They don't separate metal and glass, so, you know, I've watched this at other people's properties just build up. Well, now that I've got garbage cans, we've got a way to at least start getting rid of that, on top of keeping all the current trash out. But I guess we pushed the limits of that, because he filled up one of the garbage cans so heavy, and the top part of it was nothing but what looked like dirt, even though underneath had, like, you know, debris and fencing and stuff. The top of it looked like dirt. They didn't take it. I don't blame them. I wouldn't take a load of dirt either. So what I had to do yesterday, before the trash came this morning, was get out there with some shovels, dump one of them halfway out, you know what I'm saying, split it between two garbage cans, toss a couple of garbage bags on top so they wouldn't think it was just dirt. I'm having to do this. This fella here just doesn't care. Oops, sorry about the fan on that last one. Anyway, I'm looking for my, I just walked down within total rules of agreement, down the driveway towards this creek, just looking left and right for my scoop shovel. And about 3/4 of the way down, I got my earbuds in, you know, I'm just chilling to my music, gotta do some labor, so I like to put some earbuds on to, you know, make the labor a little less monotonous. And I'm walking down, and all of a sudden I feel a breath on my neck and hear some screaming over my earbuds, and I turn around, and I'm not kidding, this close to me, I swear he was like this as I'm turning around out the corner of my eye, but, you know, by the time I guess he started setting his arm down, but it's just screaming and yelling at me. Like I said, so loud, my earbud. But it took him this close. Yeah, I mean, I said, you crazy. You paranoid crazy. What on earth is wrong with you? What do you mean? You over here walking this down here, I want to know who you are. I'm over here screaming and yelling and you just ignoring me? I said, yeah, 'cause I got my earbuds in, buddy. I'm allowed to be walking down here. You ain't got no right coming up on me like that. You gonna get shot doing that stupid shit if I was carrying a gun. No, because you wouldn't have had a chance to do it but the way I snuck up on you. And you ain't listening. I'm like, yeah, I got a knife too. You're like, well, I'll fucking shoot you. I'm like, wow, buddy. You got some problems, man. You need to get the fuck away from me right now, buddy. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta figure out what the fuck to do with this. Cause you off the rocker. You gone. This is no wonder I don't want to, you know, why I want to leave. And actually, it isn't that I want to leave. It's he wants me to leave. But, you know what I'm saying? This was before I had looked up the law and figured out that I got a lot of rights as well. In fact, probably more than him. I'm going to pay money. So, I got another fan on. I'm really trying to make a good production out of this. All right. Okay, now, just because my mind is like, well, if I saw somebody walking on my property and I was screaming and yelling at them and they didn't answer me, how would I handle this differently than he did? With that, so I'm not violating the law. Well, if you're really scared, if you're really worried about who it is, can't tell it's me. I mean, look, how can you tell it's not me? And you start screaming and shouting, and the person doesn't answer you, walk up around side of them and towards the front and give them a little wave or something. You don't come up behind them and, hey, what you doing here? You don't do that. But that's exactly what he did to me. Now, let's get back to that whole gun ownership thing. He says, you'd have never been able to get me with the way I stuck up on you. He doesn't understand. Like I said, he has no right in reality to be your landlord. He doesn't understand. If I'm carrying a firearm on me, I don't have my earbuds in. I'm not facing away from transition zones. Does he not understand active self-protection? You don't walk around with a gun unless you're being a professional. You get that, man. So anyway, this could be considered evidence, I guess. Like I said, I'm talking to the neighbors about this, about helping me begin this investigation and collect evidence. So, now that you understand what's all going on up to this point. Okay, because again, after that, I come back inside and I go ahead and at that point, I go to the neighbors, like literally, you know, the next address over where where I'm making friends over there, and I tell the guy, hey, look, I'm giving you my contact info, my dad's info as an emergency contact. You know, if you don't hear from me every few days, call me, and if I don't respond, call my dad, call the police. You know, because what else am I gonna do? I want this fellow in prison if he does anything more than what he's doing beyond this point. You know, he's being warned. So I come back over here and I say, you know, let's try something interesting. So I went and I grabbed my microphone and my rolling, set it up at my front door, and set it up out my front door, pointed it, adjusted it, and it was good. Coincidental, I just happened to look out and he's up there. You got to see this. He's up on the roof of the pump house, of the wash house, with a ladder. I guess putting another light or camera up. Again, looks like it's pointing right at me, kind of thing. Just, what a freak. What a fucking addict freak motherfucking piece of shit, bitch. And I called him a bitch too the other day. And I ain't take that shit back. He's all kind of beta ass man. Bitch ass man. Anyway. So, I look over, he's like that, I'm like, good. He's not inside, he's not down the other end of the property. Right in front of my door, perfect. I set my speaker up and I say, you know, people with drug addictions that cause harm to themselves and those around them without getting treatment, you know, are bad people. a good person realizes his problems, can admit to it, and does things to straighten them out, or something to that effect, and then click and just shut my door and relocked it. He heard it. Now, if he ever says anything negative about that, that just shows how guilty he is. I hate to be so crazy stupid like that, but what else am I gonna do with a person that acts like a child except treat him like a child? Again, how does he have all this power? How does he get to act like N-word? And I don't mean black N-word. I like that. Alright, so I come in here after saying that, and I haven't been outside since, you know what I'm saying? I haven't been outside to deal with nobody or nothing since. That was last afternoon, so about 20 hours ago. Well, last night, I'm really thinking, man, what if he starts messing with the stuff on my property if I don't leave by the day he tells me to leave? Wait, why do I even have to leave if I'm paying him money just because he doesn't want me to be here anymore, because he's angry that I won't let him use my lawnmower, because he's angry that one of his lights messed up and I couldn't fix it on demand, because and the only reason why he's even upset in the first place is he couldn't find the cigarettes. Speaking of which, the addict, little bitch addict, found the cigarettes in his own place the next day. All this fucking shit, because he's addicted, he lost his own cigarettes, he couldn't find them, and he fucked everybody else up. So I went and looked up the law and decided kind of, you know, be a self-made attorney. Well, these are what I looked up. What I found out is, and I'm going to look into having an attorney on my side, for real. He's not going to win. I'm going to stand up for this. He's not going to continue to abuse his mom and me and get away with it, and because all the other neighbors are sick of him too. All the other neighbors are sick of all the drug addict tenants that come in and out, screaming, yelling, cause all kinds of problems. They're sick of him with all these cameras and lights and paranoid craziness. They're sick of it too. Well, Social Security Officer Joshua has decided to step in and do something about it. Alright. This is the law. A landlord may recover possession of a rental unit only as provided in Chapter 83, Part 2 of the Florida Statutes. Alright? That's if he wants to try to be retaliatory about it, but but legally find a loophole to it. I'm not telling him this. It's up to him to try to figure out. And even if he does, he still has to, you know what I'm saying, fight this in court with me. He can't evict me for no reason. I've learned. And if he does retaliatory, it's actually illegal. I can actually get 3 months rent for breaking agreements and stuff, and he covers all my attorney costs and everything else. But the landlord retaliation and harassment, which includes illegal eviction and other threats of harm and intimidation, shutting off utilities, and physically removing any of my property. If the landlord does any of this, any of the above, the tenant is entitled to an injunction forcing the landlord to restore the utility or allowing the tenant to regain access to the rented dwelling unit. So basically, the landlord. So that's that loophole I was talking about. I went and put that first. Now, aside from that loophole, let's see. Also, if the tenant is successful in proving a legal eviction, the landlord shall be liable for 3 months' rent, actual damage, whichever is higher, plus cost and attorney fees. If let's see, the retaliatory eviction. You may he also, because that's what I'm going to talk to the attorney about. He also might be violating the Federal Fair Housing Act. I'll talk to the attorney about that. Also, my right to an enjoyment covenant. People like they're sneaking up on me and locking these gates and doing all that crazy shit. That very well, and ignoring a repair request. Remember when I was talking about the shorting out or the powerless washroom. Well, it took him over a week to fix it after asking me to fix it. And again, Blockbox, I couldn't even try. Apparently, piece of junk. Alright. Anyway, the bottom line for him is he has to accept the rent unless he proceeds legal action. At this point, he has to stay away from my area, my yard, and my, you know, my camper, RV. And he's not allowed to give me any form of harassment, intimidation, threats. Not allowed to steal or alter any of my property until he serves me with a legal eviction. It's been served and I remain past that expiration. At that point, only the police are allowed to do anything to me to get me off the property, and none of my property is allowed again to be stolen, altered, or removed until I am evicted and past the legal date, and, you know, all that. That's just what I've figured out so far on that end. Let's see. So, the letter I actually decided to write him, because like I said, I wanted to keep out the section, what was it, 72? And I also looked up, I think, section 82 as well. And what was it? Section 83, part 2, okay. It's 83. But anyway, I've looked up a few other things around to try to figure out if he even, because he's so dumb, stupid, he probably doesn't even, or addicted and lazy and whatever, that he's not going to look up legal defense. He'll never be able to afford an attorney. I mean, $100 he's got from me is the only, as far as I know, the only source of legitimate income he has, you know, for rent. And he's not expecting that from me, and, you know, other than reading the law and making these decisions, I wasn't planning on giving it to him. So where is he planning on getting this money for all this stupid, you know, to do anything like this? Okay. You know, it might just be best if I just read the letter to you. To Lewis, the landlord, from Judge Joshua. You as a landlord have rights. However, me as a tenant has rights as well. I looked mine up after your orders to leave by a certain date. We'll assume May 2022. This is the law in Florida, buddy. Landlord retaliation and harassment, which includes illegal eviction or other threats of harm and intimidation, shutting off the utilities, and physically removing or altering any of my property. Those are all criminal offenses. Or civil? You know, I might have to look that up, double check. But anyway, that's something I can call police on. Like I said, after some consultation and research, I can call the police on any of this stuff. And go down and get the injunction right away. And then he's like, big, then you know, anything he does during that injunction, more power to me in court. So, if a landlord does any of the above, the tenant is entitled to an injunction forcing the landlord to restore utility or allowing the tenant to regain access to rented dwelling unit. That was repeating off of these. Like I said, what I did was I took this and rewrote it this morning, leaving out anything that would help him defend himself, because he doesn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Forget, I have no respect for tyrannical satanic addicts. Alrighty then. So, you know, Also, if the tenant is successful in proving the illegal eviction, 3 months rent, actual damages, which higher, and attorney fees, which so far is $150 right now for the consultation. Like I said, I wasn't kidding when I said I'm getting an attorney. He's not going to win. I'm not letting him get away with this. You may also be violating the Federal Fair Housing Act. My attorney will decide on that, as well as violating the right to the covenant, also ignoring your request. Okay. Only the police, by way of the court system, are legally allowed to physically force me or any of my property off of yours. You know, that's the eviction thing. I may have made a little bit of an error with the removing my property. The police, he's allowed to remove my property without the police after the police have removed me after the eviction. Let me be straight about that. No landlord may do anything except rent. He can't kick me off. He can't, like I said, unscheduled an unemergency come in my yard, you know, the area I'm renting. He can't even shout and yell at me across the yard anymore. He can't sneak up on me. He can't shut off my power. He can't do any of these things. All he can do is accept rent and expect me to follow the agreement and be a decent tenant, like I have been. Again, above and beyond, actually. And this is proving it, because I just fucking pick up and leave if I didn't care. Wasn't putting in this extra effort. But it's worth it, because I can save some money, and again, these neighbors really need a security officer around here because of this guy. And again, let's real quick, crazy. Only reason why I'm thinking about carrying a holstered gun on me now on the property is the landlord. Ain't that some crazy stuff? The landlord. My landlord is why I feel like I gotta carry a gun. And after you heard what the few instances and his mentality and apparent drug addiction, it's totally justified that I would contemplate carrying a firearm around on me whenever I walk out my door, only because of him. Sad. But with this, maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to really think hard about that, and it kind of depends on how he reacts to this notice. Let's see. Alterations, any screening. Okay, yeah. It means that you're not allowed. You have to stay away from me and out of my yard unless scheduled or an emergency. You're not allowed to harass me at all, including threats, theft, or alterations of any of my property. That means sneaking up on me, screaming and yelling at me, or inhibiting my access to anything agreed upon, which again, the same, that driveway running up and down, him coming screaming and yelling at me like that, before he, quote, knew who it was still inhibiting me and going against agreement. If he did, again, I'm positive he knew who it was, and he did that totally just to harass and harm me. But let's just pretend he was not lying when he really didn't know who it was until he was right here screaming at me with his fist like that, and I turn around and faced him. Just pretend that's true. That's still restricting my access. Remember what I said? He should have gone around and checked. Not to mention, with all these crazy ass cameras and everything he's got, he should have been able to see me from this angle and from that angle and from the other. He knew who it was. And guess what? He does another thing to me. Document, call the police, and then go to court. He'll have to get a court order to remove me, and I have a feeling the courts are going to be on my side, not his. He better watch his step, or he's going to end up in jail, or I'm sorry, he's going to end up in court, possibly in jail, possibly with a lot of fines. And I could end up with a little extra money and some free time. All because he commit crime. That was a bad rhyme. See you next time.
Answer the phone, Joshua.